hosted by Simera. If this is your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping points. This session will be recorded and we will notify you when it's made available on the Simera PLM YouTube channel. So please go over to the channel, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can keep up to date when we post stuff. Also during the session, please list any questions that you might have in the chat box. We'll try to address them in the Q&A session at the end or even before if possible. If time allows, we will also open up the virtual floor for questions by allowing your microphones to become active at the end. But I'm Manu Steyn, and with me today, my colleague Henny Ruet, and we will try to highlight the difference between push and pull workflows. Oh, sorry. I think my mic was muted. So on the agenda for today is what is push and pull workflows? Why is it important to think about it? When? And then we'll go into a bit more detail on an actual implementation, some contact details, and then we'll open up for Q&As. But first, let's just set the scene. What is a workflow? Okay, here we will define it not simply as a specific program or a setup inside a program, not even a specific flow diagram depicting a process. Here we are talking about how you work, the logical steps that you take to complete a task or a project. In fact, it can be how you complete just about anything. This, more often than not, will include many steps, many programs, equipment, tools, involving several persons or even departments. This timeline can obviously be planned and tracked using standard project management tools, but what is often lost in this process is the data needed for and between each steps. So the steps are tracked, but not the data. So let's start with, what is a pull workflow? The pull workflow is one where the steps are known, but the data for this workflow is in several locations, usually including company servers, local hard drive, test machine hard drives, measurement equipment locations, production records, most probably on paper copies, etc., etc., etc. So multiple locations, usually not linked at all. The way data is obtained in a pull workflow is the person that needs it have to go out and find it by searching for data in one of these various locations. Then there must be trust that the data found is the latest and the correct data. This is especially true if data is copied across multiple locations, for example, between development servers and production servers. Duplications of data are therefore do occur, and the effort to ensure that all of these data are the same is often the death of this type of system, or in the worst case, the product itself. In a pull workflow, data usually flows in one direction because it's simply easier to maintain a single direction. You only have to pass it along over one wall, then try and align it in a bidirectional way. Because then you not only need to make sure that it's the correct data that's been passed along, you also have to try and maintain the effect of any changes in the current step on the previous step and what that changes might have in the current and the next step. So this interaction usually gets lost. Each step is just documented and filed on its own location. Hence, all the various locations for data. This can eventually work fairly well as long as nothing ever changes. And life is usually not like that. The only constant is change and growth. So what is a push workflow then? Here again, we assume that the process steps are known and documented. With a push workflow, however, we start by eliminating the various and numerous systems, and we put all data in one system, a PLM. And we're talking here about Teamcenter PLM. This then becomes the big game changer because there's no more searching on multiple systems for data, no more trusting that what you're looking for are the correct revision of this data. No more unnecessary time wasting, searching multiple locations, and therefore a lot less admin is asked from the technical people. They can now actually do the technical stuff. And no more bidirectional synchronization of systems. Why? Because everybody and everything is now working on the same data, the same system. So everybody is up to date. Development and production are no longer looking at and working, development and production are now looking and working with the same data, not duplicates on their own servers. Changes on any data or in any part of the process is immediately visible to everybody. It is pushed. No need to copy or email to make people aware of changes. Everything is on the same system. Everybody gets pushed, everything gets pushed to the user. No more pulling. The effect of any change can be quickly studied by all involved and then either accepted or reworked. So as a practical case, let's look at our sister company, Simera Sense. They design, develop, test, and manufacture imagers for various sizes of CubeSat satellites. They've been on this PLM journey for a while now and have all their design data, CAD files, simulation files, CAM files, production, and assembly and test procedures under configuration inside Teamcenter. This means that the complete team always has access to the latest and most relevant data. Any changes done or flagged by any member, be it in the design, production, or testing teams, are controlled by the system and therefore visible to all other members. Some of these changes are processed with official engineering change processes inside Teamcenter. And when these processes are started, all relevant members are notified with push notifications by the system. Nobody needs to be emailed or needs to go and hunt to see if there's changes that occurred. The system pushes it to them. With the start of any new product, the manufacturing documents are completed and controlled inside Teamcenter. These are then linked to the design it pertains to. This is an important point. This means that if you look at any manufacturing process or instruction, you have immediate access to the correct and relevant design data of that product or process. It has been pushed along with all the other relevant data. Manufacturing is also documented, stored inside Teamcenter. This means that there's now a link between the actual manufacturing report document, the build history, the production procedure, and the design data, all linked. If any of these documents are opened in Teamcenter, the rest of the documents in this document chain is immediately available to you. You do not have to go and search for it. In the case of Sense, as the production volumes and the team itself grew and is still growing, Sense is continuously upscaling both their personnel and their Teamcenter installation and use accordingly. So they are on a continuously growth path. So they started by having a little bit of history. They started by having all the data and procedures inside Teamcenter. Then they moved and added some Teamcenter workflows to control releasing of documents and changes through ECP processes. After that, they added some more direct ECP workflows to track the manufacturing. These workflows utilized their existing procedures and documents. It just formalized it a bit better so that new members could get going faster. So it wasn't new stuff, it was just making it more visible. By using these team-centered workflows, you enable new members to follow the correct procedure with the correct data in the most efficient time. This means that build to order, build to stock, engineer to order type manufacturing can be initiated by the production manager inside Teamcenter, and the execution team are notified by the system without the need for the production manager to send out emails and organize long meetings. This then also facilitates off-site working of some or even all of the members. So everybody knows what to do because everybody's working on the same system with the same data. And so all steps are planned and executed on Teamcenter. And in Teamcenter, it is now possible to track these progress more directly. This can obviously be done inside Teamcenter, but we found that a nice dashboard that could be accessed using a regular internet browser or from basically anywhere, or even displayed on multiple monitors in the production area, just worked better to enhance the visibility of the activities in these various areas. So we did a couple of these dashboards that mimic the various production processes and summarize them for multiple items. I'm now going to hand you over to Henny to just show you one or two of these workflows and dashboards in action. Henny.
Thank you, Arne. I'm just going to share my screen here. Button and share the correct screen. There we go. Okay, Arne, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. I made a recording of running through one of the work instruction workflows. What you are looking at here at the top is the web browser, which is pointing towards the visual dashboard. And at the bottom, we have the Teamcenter Rich Client interface. You can obviously use the Active Workspace client if you like, which is also a web-based interface. But the Rich Client interface is the one currently being used by Simera Sense. So what we have here is a optical front-end work instruction. You'll see there's the work instruction item, the item revision, and here we have got the Excel spreadsheet dataset, which contains the actual work instructions. So what you need to do is you will start a new workflow process, and you will see there's a few tabs. There's an attachments tab to show what was or what is being placed in the workflow. In the process template tab, we have a visual representation of how the workflow looks, all the different integration steps, where it goes to a quality assurance step. The work instruction gets released, and which means it gets locked in place. A new work instruction gets attached to the workflow, and then it continues on with some performance measurements before going through another quality assurance check and eventually finishing. So this is just a visual representation of it, quick and easy to see for the person running the workflow. And here under the Assign All Tasks tab, you can assign different Teamcenter users to each integration task. So every single task can be done by a different person, or everything can be done by the same person. For the purposes of this demonstration, I am not going to assign the integration tasks to other users, just to make it a bit easier to do the demonstration. So in this case, we will just click OK. And what will happen is the workflow will now kick off, and the first person that needs to do the integration task will receive an email in Outlook. which will inform them that they have a integration task that they need to complete. You'll see there quickly it'll turn orange, which means it has kicked off. All the red steps shows that those steps have not started yet. So what we have here is the email that the first integration personnel will receive, just a standard type of email telling them they have an integration task that they need to complete, and some additional information as to what needs to be completed or integrated. So once the person receives the task, you will notice here there's a little icon next to the work instruction revision. That just shows that it is actually in a workflow process. Just an easy way to see. Okay, so the person that needs to do the integration will go to his work list, and here he will find the work instruction that has been assigned to him. And when he expands that all the way to the targets, he can actually see here is the instruction information he needs. So once he has completed the integration step, he will then click on the perform action, and he can enter a comment in terms of, for example, the integration step completed. You will click complete, and you will notice that the little orange block has become blue, which means he is busy filling in the step. And once he has clicked OK and it has been processed, it'll turn green, and the next one will become orange, which is a nice visual, quick visual cue as to where in the workflow the integration is. And the next step, the same. They will do the integration. I can also note that once this step has been completed, the next integrator will receive an email similar to the one I've shown, informing them that they have an integration task. Also, once the step has completed, the quality assurance person will receive an email just informing them that the integration task has been completed, just in case they feel they might want to do a spot check on that integration step. So they will be informed with a push email about that. So click OK, so it'll turn blue, and then it will turn green, and you will see here at the top this little LED bar. It will also run, become lit up as it goes through the different steps. So I'm just going to let the video run, but it is pretty much the same steps. Person gets the email, does the integration, clicks perform, clicks complete, OK, and it'll step on and on and on. The top LED bar is nice for just a very quick glance at the state of various workflows, while the bottom one, which shows the actual workflow layout, will give a bit more information exactly at which step the workflow is. Of course, if you want to have more information in terms of who exactly is busy with a certain step, in case it is taking longer than expected, you can go in Team Center itself, and in the workflow viewer, you can have get much more details. Yeah, so I'm just going to let it run through. As you can see, it lights up, and of course, at the moment, the refresh is set to 5 seconds, but in the actual production environment, that could be set to half an hour or an hour, or how regularly you want the dashboard to update. Right. It's almost done, so yeah. And you will see, for example, this rework step that was not done stays red because it has not kicked off and has not completed. And then, yes, there we have it. All the steps green, and as well as the LED bar fully lit up. Thank you, Hanno. I don't know if there's anything else you wish me to add.
No, perfect. I think what is also very nice on this is if you walk into the production area, obviously on the presentation, it's a smaller screen. If you have a big TV, big screen there with multiple of these things, you can very easily just walk into the area and sort of see all the production schedules that is ongoing. I want to say for that day or for the time.
Yes.
And it gives you a very nice sort of overview of what is going on. Yeah, thank you very much, Annie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I think Rome wasn't built in a day. So what is next for Sense? Well, in their cases, as the amount of units they need to produce grows, the assembly infrastructure in terms of assembly lines and testing units will also need to grow accordingly. This means that the capability will expand, and the need to plan and monitor each of these individual lines becomes much more important. So parallel to their effort in facility expansion plans, Sense is also looking and planning the expansion of their team center base, with elements of team center manufacturing / easy plan. This will then allow them to plan the capability that they need for each line, depending on the product they want to do, but also the activities that will be performed on each of these lines. Further to this, it will also allow them, the production manager, to do line balancing and sort of time studies for the various products to try and optimize the throughput. The advantage of doing this inside the same PLM system, being Team Center, is that the data that is used for this planning will be the latest and most relevant data. These planning scenarios can then also be escalated to actual production schedules by changing the status of the plan and then throwing it in the execution leg. No need for copying the data. And then I think their later step, once all of this is done, if you follow the now, next, later, the later step would then also be to integrate a linked MES system to really fully monitor, I almost want to say click by click, glue by glue processes in the manufacturing. Okay, well, and that sort of concludes the presentation bit. I just want to end up with, well, not end off, but just say that please feel free to contact either myself or Marius if you want to know more about Team Center or any way that we can assist you. At least Marius and myself's detail, I totally forgot about you, very sorry. Details are on the slide. Also, try out the free 30-day trial of Team Center X and Team Center Easy Plan. It's a fully online guided edition, so there's no installs. It comes pre-populated with data, so you can really play around and see how the system works, get a feel for it. And then also, please, I invite you to join us for the last 2 lunchtime webinars. We will explore NXCAD and then end up with SimCenter, simulating product performance. And I think with that, I'm going to throw open the floor for any questions. Okay, let's see if I can figure out how to allow the mics. Aha. Okay, so if there's any questions, please feel free to ask now. Mics are active, so you can unmute if you want to. You can unmute and ask the question. Okay, it doesn't seem that there's any questions. Please, also afterwards, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. We're here to help if we can, and hopefully we can. And with that, I thank you all for joining us today for this webinar, and hope forward to see you again next week. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks.